For almost as long as Edie could remember, there had been 3 of them: Jake, Ryan, and Edie. She had met them at school down in Sussex. Edie had just turned 11 when she moved with her family to be closer to the hospital where her little sister, Georgina, was being treated for a rare childhood cancer. When Edie thought back to that time, the word that came into her head was abandoned. Her parents were always elsewhere, consumed with anxiety over her helpless little sister who soaked up all their love like a sponge. Where Georgina was weak, Edie had to be strong. She had to be brave. She had to fend for herself. And she did. Edie set aside her feelings of abandonment, put them out of sight and out of mind, and just got on with things. She rode her bike to school. She made her own dinner when she got home. Sometimes she even put herself to bed. When she turned 12, she started at a private school. Compared to the other children, Edie seemed grown up. She was serious, quiet, and controlled. But the other girls in her class didn't see strength or self-reliance. They saw boring and stuck up. They mocked her seriousness, and the more they mocked her, the more distant Edie became. She treated them with scorn, like the grinning idiots she thought them to be. She quickly found herself as lonely at school as she was at home. Until, one day, late in the summer term, she skidded in some gravel going down a hill on her way home from school and came off her bike. She was sitting in the dirt, picking bits of grit out of the scrape in her knee, when 2 boys came rushing over the top of the hill. She recognized them from school. They were in the year above, 2 tall, dark boys who the other kids stayed away from for some reason. The pair of them hopped off their bikes, and the taller of the 2 held out his hand to help her up. "Are you all right?" he asked. His smile was crooked, and he had a large, deep dimple on the right side of his face. He was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. Edie gave him her hand. "I'm Ryan," he said, as he pulled her effortlessly to her feet. The other boy, kneeling in the dirt to examine the wheel of her bike, said softly, "I'm Jake." And that was it. The bolt of lightning, heart-stopping. Edie knew right away he was the one. From that day on, it was the 3 of them together, inseparable. Only now, there were just 2. Edie, curled into a ball in the corner of the sofa, the floor around her littered with tissues, and Ryan pacing back and forth, wearing out the carpet. Ryan was wild-eyed, manic, too jumpy to sit by her side, too wound up to do anything but replay that morning's terrible scene in his head and describe it to her. "There was so much blood. Edie, I couldn't do anything. I tried CPR, but it was useless. I mean, of course it was useless. He was gone. And then I was covered in blood, just sitting there, and I said, 'He's my brother.' And then they wanted to know why I lied, and I said, 'I didn't lie. Ryan shook his head. "We used to say it all the time, didn't we? 'He's my brother. We're like brothers.' I don't know why I said it. I don't know why I said it then. Christ, Edie, there was so much blood." Edie drew the breath deep into her lungs and balled her hands into fists. "Ryan, please, don't." "I'm sorry," he said, looking at her for a moment. "I'm sorry." He fell silent for 20 seconds, 30, perhaps, and then he started up again.